Good morning, guys. Good morning. Good morning once again. Welcome to South Africa Lately, a channel that discusses South African trending news. We do, however, grab here and there from international news when it is trending enough to be brought here. South Africa is very charged at this moment. Emotions are high, that is amongst the government leaders as well as the people that might be affected because of this signing of the expropriation of land bill by President Cyril Ramaphosa. So I am sharing this video so that I get your views, most importantly in the comment section. I am going to share the views of the people and also share with you the disagreement between Deputy Minister Sihle Zikalala and Minister Mcpherson, and they are from the same department so they are sharing different views out there. The DA will regret being in government with the ANC, but I'm going to make another video with this after this why I am saying so. Probably I'll upload the video later in the afternoon or maybe in the evening, but I'm going to share a video because I once said this long time ago that the DA is endangering itself by being in government with the ANC. The ANC might fail in many things, but when it comes to defending themselves, all right. So also at the end of this video, I'm going to share a video clip that will give you the context in all this land issue. So stay tuned for that one until the end. So let us see what is transpiring amongst the people due to the signing of this bill. This is a post that was put up by the Democratic Alliance, and I had to take this and bring it to you so that you get to have a feel of how many different parties are feeling about this, especially the Democratic Alliance. It would be interesting to see what FF Plus is saying as well, because most farmers are in these parties, right? So news: DA to challenge expropriation bill after president's approval. So I once said that the DA is like endangering itself by being in the government with the ANC. The ANC might fail in so many things, but when it comes to defending themselves, these people are dangerous. So Mcpherson, the Minister of Public Works, posted, as the Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure, there will be no expropriation of private property without compensation on my watch. The guarantee of property rights under Section 25 of the Constitution is not up for debate and is non-negotiable. So, how is it? Guys, hey! And somebody responded that, I think that was Penwell. He said, NHI Act, Bila Act, expropriation without compensation. Just counting and listing the things that the DA has failed to fight. The DA pretends to fight these things, but you are lying to your voters and enjoying the perks of coalition power. The truth is that the Constitution provides for redressing past injustices and land restitution. So what are your views also, guys? Please do share in the comment section, because most importantly than sharing the information that I got, which is of public knowledge, I just want to hear your views in this, because if we have to do this as South Africa, we must skate very carefully. We don't want to be like the other countries, for instance, like Zimbabwe, like the other countries that are in a disaster because of such things. And nice try. Your party is part of the GNU. You are the ones who voted for this. Now you play stupid and want to take it to court. We see through you. You will reap what you sow. You see now, the DA voters feel betrayed by the Democratic Alliance. Guys, when I made this video earlier late last year, and I said the Democratic Alliance is endangering itself when it comes to being in government with the ANC. It was like, no, I am saying things that are far-fetched, but you see now, I feel like, at least, though I am not a political specialist and not having deep knowledge in politics, at least I see some of the things. I'm going to make another video later, guys, so that we get through this. And then Sihle Zikalala, who's in the same department as Dean Mcpherson, he's the deputy minister there. He put out a media statement, said, the deputy minister of public works and infrastructure, Sihle Zikalala, welcomes the seminal and a groundbreaking signing of expropriation bill into law by President CYRIL Ramaphosa. Do you see where they clash? They are in the same department. Dean Mcpherson is the head. Sihle Zikalala is is the minister. Sihle Zikalala is the deputy minister. And this renders Dean Mcpherson like, a porcelain doll in that department. I'm sorry, but this is how it looks like. And also Sihle Zikalala shared a post by Newsroom, said, we stand ready to defend the Expropriation Act and ensure its timely implementation. Guys, I'm going to share a video clip with you that goes together with a post by Newsroom that was quoted by Sihle Zikalala, so that you hear what Sihle Zikalala said. And please kindly share your views on that as well, should you watch up to that level. So let's hear what Sihle Zikalala said.
This should be accepted as the expression of the people of South Africa, and they have expressed themselves and their will. And therefore, the DA, the Action SA, and all parties must come to terms that democracy in South Africa is working.
Yeah, would this apply to the minister as well? And I'm asking this on the basis of, if the Democratic Alliance says that they are looking to challenge this in court, and perhaps maybe the department would be cited as the implementing agency, as one of the respondents, who signs off on the affidavit? What is even said in that affidavit by the department?
I'm hopeful that the minister considered this act before President assent it. And I'm hopeful that he will sign if the DA goes to court. But this now, if it is challenged in court, it challenges the decision of the government of South Africa, and therefore the cabinet will have to respond to that.
Yeah, and would the minister then have to follow whatever cabinet says, irrespective of whether the political party that he comes from is against?
I would not want to speak for. I would not want to speak for the minister. I think.
So I'm just saying in terms of the rules, because the rules are in place.
No, he can speak for himself on that, but the president, as he has signed this into an act, he has a right to defend it, and therefore it will be defended if anyone take it to court.
Okay, so here's the point that is raised as well by the Democratic Alliance. They say that the process that was followed in the NCOP was flawed. The Northwest didn't have a mandate. KwaZulu-Natal, the Free State, and Mpumalanga, as well as KwaZulu-Natal, as well as in Mpumalanga, that there were issues there, that they are not the majority. So therefore, that process through the NCOP was flawed. What's Deputy Minister's understanding? But at the time, you were Minister of that department. What's your understanding of the process that was followed?
In the NCOP, all provinces are given opportunity to express themselves. If a province says, we are not expressing any view, that is also accepted. But the NCOP can't wait for a province that is not deciding. It has a time frame, and therefore what is said is also flawed, because that argument doesn't hold water. And the NCOP had a majority, and it proceeded on the basis of the provinces that had expressed themselves.
Okay, then let's deal with what the bill seeks to do. And the question that people have raised is, how different is this legislation to the 1975 legislation, considering that we already know that there is an option of expropriation without compensation, the argument that had been made even before, that the Constitution had already empowered the state to do so?
Well, there's been a number of cases where the state have tried to expropriate, but people have taken the state to court and compelled the state to pay for expropriation. Hence a need for this act. And now we are sure and guaranteed that this is an act that has been promulgated and signed by the president. It will then help us. Yes, it is not a change of the Constitution as expected before, but it gives mandate to the state to expropriate in the public interest. And therefore, it would be better than that act of 1975.
Yeah, how do we define public interest? Because this is an argument that has been made before as well, that we remember even with the expropriation of land, specifically with the building of Gautrain, but in that particular case, there was compensation. So how do we define public interest where there is no compensation?
Well, firstly, as you refer, for servitude and other need of state and state organs, it will mean that we don't pay. It will be expropriation without or with nil compensation. But if also it goes to the question of protection of the communities or advancement of the interest of communities that will then enable us to expropriate without compensation.
And let us read what people are saying on this issue. If it gets sour for the farmers, they must use the scorched earth policy. If they can't keep their land, then nobody should have a functioning farm. You just don't learn. Yo, guys. Yeah. You know, I feel like the pot has been stirred. Or is this a thing that we've been tiptoeing around because we know how people are going to react, or maybe South Africans are going to react around this? Now that we're going straight into it, now feels like the pot has been very, very, very stirred. And this one said, the final countdown has begun. Tick, tock, tick, tock. And just like the Bila Act, I think we're going down. There's that route. Hi. And this one said, it's just on paper. Otherwise, we know nothing is going to happen. To happen, life will be the same. Will life be the same? And you know, I might think this person also has a point, because we have so many things signed in the constitution and laws, but they are not being used in this country. This is not going to end well. How do you foresee this in the future? How do you foresee South Africa in the future after this? The land was stolen in 1652, not in 1913. And this law saying nothing, and this law says nothing as it say may, and state organ will still have to compensate the owner of the land. We know they will come up with these ridiculous amounts to be compensated with. Expropriation won't benefit us. So there's the views of the people. You can share your own views in the comment section, because why I and this one says, this is good, even though it still protects interests of the minority. This bill was supposed to say land can be expropriated without compensation for redistribution. South African, for redistribution, pardon me, I'm also, my mind is everywhere. South African will never move forward. Maybe he wanted to say South Africa will never move forward until they take the land for equal opportunities. Guys, what do you think? What do you think is going to eventually happen with this bill? What do you think is going to eventually happen? Will it improve South Africa? Will South Africa improve, or will South Africa be backwards economically? So what are your thoughts on that one? And this one said, this has got nothing to do with public interest as stated here. This is land and property theft by the corrupt ANC. Guys, I'm still going to share with you later on, because I'm running out of time. I'm still going to share with you later on the views of the EFF on the same matter. So I'm going to bring it here. Kindly pardon me for delaying on these things, because you know it's January, and one is trying to organize the 11 months ahead on this year, in this year rather. This has got nothing to do with public interest, and I've read this one. So as I was still saying to you guys, I'm saying pardon me for bringing these things late to you with my reaction, because you know, as it is January, you know, money is low, we have to do things in here, kids back to school and whatnot. So I hardly have time to do the videos, but I try my best because of the respect and love that I have for you as my subscribers and anybody that watches my videos. Black people will be affected too. Cupcake is following orders from his bosses. Nothing here will save those who were affected in 1975. Guys, how does this bill make you feel as a South African? I'm talking about now, whether you are black or white or colored or whatever, Indian, whoever, as long as you are a South African, how does this bill make you feel? When you think about this bill, what comes to your mind? What's the first thing that comes to your mind? I know some people say Zimbabwe comes to our mind, but what really comes to your mind? Let him sign white paper of immigration into law. We can't breathe because of undocumented immigrants and fake asylum seekers. So basically this one, I don't think this is necessarily about immigration and whatnot. The person is, according to me, the person is trying to show that in South Africa we can have laws, we can have all these beautiful laws in our country, but we never use them. For some reason, they just become like decorative ornaments, just useless, laying dust somewhere. So whatever you've used, guys, kindly use the comment section. So this one also posted and said, with all these laws signed, I thought Ramaphosa was a bad guy, but seemingly he's got good intentions for the majority. I noticed. You cannot simply confiscate a farm when the owner has a title deed. ANC can give up government land first, since they own the bulk of it, won't produce, but you can start a farm with hard work like every other farmer had to. I want to see a test case confiscate in my interest with nil compensation. Just one, minimum 500 hectare arable and productive farm in the Western Cape, and it must be approximately 200 kilometers from city of Cape Town. So those are just the views of the people, guys. I'm not going to be reading any more of those views, but what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to share with you a clip that will give you the context of the whole land issue and the bill that was signed in South Africa, so that you have some idea into this. And also, guys, I would like to thank you for watching my videos. If you watched up to this far, I really appreciate it. And the next time you bump into my videos, kindly watch my ads in full. It really goes a long way if you are on Wi-Fi and you have the time to do so. I really appreciate that. It really helps me and the channel. So okay, guys, with that said, do have a lovely day, and I am leaving you with that video clip that I just told you I am going to allow you to watch it at the end of my commentary.
On the left, there are calls for the government to seize land held by white South Africans, putting serious pressure on President Ramaphosa's government. For white farmers, these calls for expropriation without compensation are familiar. They evoke the violence of government-mandated seizures of white-owned farms in neighboring Zimbabwe nearly 2 decades ago under Robert Mugabe. And for many, the debate stirs up fears that South Africa could fall to economic devastation like its neighbor to the north. Emotions about land reform run high and misinformation abounds. But here are the facts. Expropriation without compensation has happened before in South Africa. In 1913, the government passed the Natives Land Act. Back then, it grabbed 87% of arable land for whites and corralled black South Africans onto reserves where they had no individual ownership rights. Black livelihoods were destroyed. Today, not enough has changed. Of all the agricultural land owned by individuals across the country, 72% is owned by whites, who make up just 9% of the population. 4% of that land is owned by black South Africans, who make up 79% of the population. Nelson Mandela pledged that 30% of South African land held by whites would be distributed to poor black citizens after apartheid. But progress is painfully slow. It's not hard to see why. Land reform is disruptive in a Robin Hood sort of way. As The Economist notes, it involves the government grabbing land from the relatively well-off and doling it out to the poor. This often involves a fight. Take China. In 1949, after the Communist Revolution, the government began grabbing land from landlords who were the victims of brutal violence. Almost half the country's arable